Cowboys Nation? It's that VA Dallas Cowboy fan coming back at you. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing, and commenting down below. I make these videos for me and you, and they're a little therapeutic, especially after the game we had yesterday against Pittsburgh. Uh, I have a lot of takeaways from that game. But the major points I want to say is that the offense can move the ball between the 20s, but they can't seem to score in the red zone to save their lives. Uh, we got our first touchdown from Gilbert to CD for the first time in 25 offensive possessions since Dak went down, something like that. Or, well, basically the second touchdown since he went down. Uh, Defense, where have you been all season? If you played like this when Dak was healthy, we'd actually be winning the division right now. But I don't know. Maybe Dante Poe and Everson Griffin and Daryl Worley were the miscreants behind the whole coaching's not working thing. And since they've been gone, this defense has turned it on. I don't know. And special teams finally have showed up with what we thought could happen with John Fossil running this special teams. But to get into a lot of game notes. Oh, and another big takeaway, as much as we create our own mistakes, the referees aren't helping, especially when they miss blatant stuff on us. They miss calls, but then they go right around and give Pittsburgh some BS. And I don't want to hear from the fans that be like, nah, I can't keep blaming the refs. But I've seen video. There are times when the Steelers got away with doing the same thing we did, and somehow the refs are completely blind to it. So I don't want to hear these saying this ticky-tack referee stuff. Nah, the referees are starting to become a fixture in us losing important games. There was not really any calls made in the first half when the game was okay, but when the game started getting away from the Steelers, you started seeing more flags, basically leading them to continue their drives, which is suspect. But anyway, I did it by quarter breakdown. I could be a little wrong on the last two quarters because the game was so good. It was hard to take notes. But in the first quarter alone, we had Trayvon Diggs and Donovan Wilson. They had a shot at an interception when Big Ben went long with one of his first two passes, and in Cowboys fashion, they knocked into each other and the ball bounced off their hands and fell incomplete. Now, it was an incomplete, that's fine, but if one of them went for the ball, it would have been an interception. Instead, they hit each other and the ball fell incomplete. Nobody got it. And before people do say I hate on the referees as a bunch of bull, I don't. Because Jordan Lewis got away with being handsy early on in the game too. I saw that. So you can't say I'm biased to the Cowboys only. There were some holds that the refs missed on Anthony Brown and Jordan Lewis, but, you know, they're kind of handsy a lot of times, but they got away with some. Our run defense started the game. It wasn't that great. It took them a while to warm up because they were starting to they knew to run on us like other teams, so that's how they started this game. They left big holes for Ben and James Conner and their running backs to run through up the middle. But as the game wore on, you saw that clamp down. Before the game even started, Tyler Biotish hurt himself in warm-ups. I think his hamstring or something. And he was not able to play, so they suited up Joe Looney, which was a little bit of a detriment, and it was okay. At least he was active and could take the role, but you can see a drop-off now from Biotish to Joe Looney, and that's a glaring problem they need to fix. Our inefficiency in the red zone, it's got to stop. We keep getting down there, and we keep settling for field goals. We're never really taking shots at the end zone. I don't know why Kellen Moore doesn't call a play to actually get into the end zone. He it's like once he gets to the 20 or the 30, he decides to start doing tricks and reverses and screens and everything to take us out of field goal range. I don't understand. Uh, Again, Cheeto Awuzie was not active. So that's another game without a top corner being there. And hamstrings are nothing to play with. That's why you saw Miles Austin, you pretty much lost him for his career because of hamstrings. The two tight end sets, those plays have got to go. They're figuring that out too easily. You can't keep running that personnel out there. Starting into the second quarter, excuse me, you're seeing this now from Mike McCarthy, especially in this game for some reason. He declined to go for it on 4th and 1, 4th and inches. He, with the game so close, he never even took a shot to go for it. Not once. He just kept kicking field goals. I mean, it was 3 points, but in a game like this, where you never know when Pittsburgh can go off, not even attempting to go for it on 4th down came back to bite us. Which is Nice Wander, the punter, man, he booted a couple balls pretty far. Uh, he's definitely better than Chris Jones right off the first punts that he did. And I see the Cowboys are bringing in Marquette King, who used to be with the Raiders before an attitude adjustment or something happened between them and he was cut. And we'll see what the punting competition looks like the rest of the week. The Steelers were pretty much no huddling the whole time. So they tried to wear down this defense early on, but apparently it didn't work. So that's good for the defense. They didn't get too tired early on like they usually do. Ooh, excuse me. The Steelers, they went for their 4th downs. They did not get them. The defense held their ground and pretty much stacked them up whenever they could. Garrett Gilbert, he went out there. He saw the pocket collapse. He had good pocket awareness, and when he could, he ran the ball and got a couple first downs early on in the game. So you're definitely seeing the difference between him, DiNucci, and Dalton. And that DiNucci probably would have taken these sacks because he's inexperienced and wouldn't have known what to do. And Andy Dalton's a statue. He'd have got sacked just because he doesn't move. Like I said, we scored our first touchdown in 25 possessions to CeeDee Lamb. We had a John Fossil trick play on a punt return that was great setup. Cedric Wilson was downfield fielding the punt, and Goodwin, C.J. Goodwin, was down there kind of, fake limping on his way down the field, so nobody paid attention to him. So when Wilson caught the ball, he lateraled it to Goodwin, and he took it pretty far downfield, 73 yards, I think they said, total, with the late hit in the back, negating about 10 yards. But even with all that trickeration and putting us in great field position, we still came away with only 3 points, and that's got to stop. You got all the way down there. You could have put this game away early, but you always come away with 3. Anthony Brown, I said it before, he's terrible. I don't know. There's other YouTubers who said he's pretty good, and if you watch the tape, he's good. He's the fastest DB we got. That's great, but he's handsy. He grabs on almost every play that you see him in. A lot of times when you zoom into these plays, he's grabbing jerseys. So you could be fast all you want, but these guys are blowing right by you and you're grabbing them. That's not helping. You're just going to cause a penalty sooner or later, and they're watching for that. And speaking of that, he's playing 10 yards. 10 yards off a receiver, and he's still getting handsy. You can't do that in the NFL. Trayvon Diggs, he learned. He came up to closer to the line of scrimmage, and you actually see him do plays when they hike the ball. He's actually now going man to man, and he's putting his hands on the receivers within limits and redirecting their routes. That's why he's starting to look good, because he's starting to get it. He's not playing 10 yards off and then getting handsy at the end when these guys are getting to the ball quicker than him. So that's crazy. Neville Gallimore is a beast. I don't know why later in the game, when the game was starting to be on the line, they took him out of the game and put Tyrone Crawford back in, who wasn't doing jack diddly squat. But Tyrone Crawford needs to go. I'm sick and tired of saying it every year. The guy is not bringing anything to this team. Great leadership in the locker room, that's great. But on the field, you suck. You're not doing anything. Neville Gallimore was a beast on the inside. And he's some of the reasons that they didn't pick up those fourth downs, because he collapsed that pocket too quick. They weren't ready for him. But for inexplicable reasons, the coaching staff decided to put in Tyrone Crawford, and it blew up in their face. Something else noticed in the first and second halves, we injured Roethlisberger. He was hit, and his knee was kind of caught up under Gallimore, actually. And he was limping, on the drive before the half where they scored a touchdown, and went into the half visibly limping before the second half. And for some inexplicable reason, the defense couldn't stop a one-legged man. This is not the first time in Cowboys history this has happened. We put pressure on a quarterback, he gets hurt, and when he's not mobile, somehow we still can't seem to get to him. That's got to stop. I don't know how that happens too often, where the defense seems to regress when a quarterback is less mobile. He's a statue in the pocket, and we still can't get to him. And the quarterbacks are learning to get rid of the ball quicker, and we can't do anything to stop him. That's got to stop. Terrence Steele. He lined up too far behind the center on the snap. It created a illegal formation penalty. So when that took us back, on the immediate next play, Gilbert threw that pass to CD, who was trying to make a play, and credit to the Steelers, they knocked the ball right out of his hands, like he didn't have it in his hands the whole time. As soon as he caught it, you saw a hand go in and knock the ball right to Minka Fitzpatrick, and they ran it back, interception. You couldn't stop that. I mean, that was crazy. But again, a Terrence Steele mistake leads to something bad happening for this offense. That's happened too many times this season as well. The refs giving Pittsburgh another field goal try. I don't know what the hell happened. We blocked in Philadelphia. The play that Zeke Elliott got hurt was that botched referee saying that the Eagles player did not have possession of the ball when he was on the ground, and they ran it back for a touchdown that iced the game. Somehow they missed that. They did not let that play keep rolling, right? So when they had a field goal that we blocked, they called it dead. They called the blocked kick dead when the ball was live and our guys scooped it up and were going to score. This, inexplicably, the referees, like I said, they start rearing their ugly heads when something good for us happens and it doesn't go our way. I don't understand. I know it doesn't make sense, because Mike McCarthy was seen on the sidelines quite a few times arguing with these referees about their the flags. It's not making sense. I mean, clearly the ball was blocked. That means it's live. We could have scooped and scored. I don't know why the referees decided of all times to call the play dead and then give no explanation why you called the play dead. But then y'all go ahead and say, oh, well, you got the Steelers were offsides. The Steelers was offside, so they moved the ball back. They gave them another shot. They kicked it. They made it. That's a big swing of momentum going into the half. that we could have scooped and scored going into halftime. Instead, the referees call a false start on the Steelers out of nowhere, late flag, and then say, oh, well, they get another try. And then this time he nails a 59-yarder and they go into the half. Okay. Third quarter started getting good, so I didn't really get too much in it. But again, the offensive play calling there, the red zone was horrible. They had another 4th and inches that they didn't go for, settled for 3. And Randy Gregory is a beast. He's pretty much out there. He's getting a lot of offsides penalties and stuff because his motor is always running and he's jumping off sides trying to jump that snap count. And you can't be mad at him for that because he's trying to do something. He wants to get to that quarterback. It's like TJ Watt. TJ Watt comes right off the side like that when the ball is snapped. Randy Gregory's trying to get to that level, and he can get there. Then going into the fourth quarter, again, referees are starting to make decisions on calls where it's inexplicable. You had earlier in the game, the interception to Mika Fitzpatrick. They gave them the ball. But what they did not see, it was that Amari Cooper, who was the guy he was trying to throw it to in the end zone, was being held the whole time, and they inexplicably missed that call and allowed the interception to stay. When replays clearly showed that Amari Cooper was being held and held down while trying to run his route, but the refs missed that, and they granted him that interception. So when later in the game, when Jalen Smith, who had a tight end running at him, glances off of him and falls to the ground, they're saying he tackled him pass interference. Now that's bull. So people will say, no, it's not bull, but he didn't really lay hands on him. He just kind of swatted him away, and the guy fell down. And due to that, they called offensive PI. The Van Der Esch, he tackled the running back in the flat. They flagged Van Der Esch for unsportsmanlike for swinging at the guy, but video clearly shows the guy had his hand in his face mask, and Van Der Esch was trying to swat the guy's hand away from his face mask, and they said he took a swing at him. And they threw a flag on that. When the video clearly showed he didn't even come close to him. He swatted his hand away and missed at that. But they called a flag on that one. They said Jalen Smith, during a pass play that should have got us off the field, they said that Jalen Smith hit the quarterback in the helmet when causing an unnecessary, they called a roughing the passer call on his hand, slapping Ben Roethlisberger in the helmet, right? When he did what I've been trying to tell the defense to do. If you can't get to the quarterback, put your hands up and block the ball. So the ball's coming out, right? Jalen Smith's hands are up. He's being blocked and held this whole time while his hands are in the air, and he gets blocked into Ben. So when his hands are coming down, he slaps Ben in the face. They call that roughing the passer. And there's video evidence out there that showed one of our pass plays. I think it was to Zeke later in the game where he had a pass thrown at him in the flat and he dropped. Well, he missed it. It went right through his arms. And on that play, TJ Watt came through the line, clearly had his hand in our quarterback's helmet and was not called. Nothing. So I don't want to hear anything about refs not being the reason we win or lose a game. They are just clearly not calling the same calls for the Cowboys like they call for any other team in the league, and I'm getting sick of it. Every week it's a call from these referees that make no sense. But we can't seem to get it when it's our turn. The other team always seems to get it when it's exactly the same thing. It's bullshit, basically. But I did not know, but before the half, a little bit before the half, Trayvon Diggs hurt his ankle, and he tried to get his ankle retaped and come back out to the field, but he did not return. That's why he was not on the field in the second half. And they put in Savion Smith, and Savion Smith was clearly a detriment to the team as he got burned for a big play right before he got burned, actually hurdled for a touchdown that was pretty much the end of the game. So, these free agent pickups, they have done jack squat for this fucking team, to be honest. I don't know why we paid these guys, who scouted these guys, because they've done jack diddly for us in the long term. McCoy never saw the field. Dontari Poe did nothing. Everson Griffin did nothing. Darrell Worley did nothing. Savion Smith is now doing nothing. HaHa Clinton Dix didn't even get a chance. I mean, all the free agent pickups we picked up, aside from Alden Smith, have been duds. They've sucked. They've done absolutely nothing but make the team worse whenever they've been on the field. And that is a management problem. But, Jesus Christ. To end it all, the coaching was horrendous there in the end of the game. They took Neville Gallimore out of the defense for some reason and put in Tyrone Crawford, and he did nothing. He didn't push the pocket. He didn't create any pressures. He didn't do tackles. I don't even think he showed up on the stat book. He did absolutely nothing the whole game. And yet you put him in there on the critical fourth quarter plays when Pittsburgh needed to score. You put in the guy who's done nothing all game. Defensive cushions. Whoever's coaching these corners got to tell them, stop playing 10 yards off of these guys. When Pittsburgh is in a 2nd and 14 or something, don't give them automatic 10 yards, because that cushion is all these receivers need to just run right past you, and it shows. Because people like X Woods, he's going to have his back to you when you catch the ball because this idiot's out of position. Like, Jesus Christ. Play man-to-man. Play these guys man-to-man. Jam them on the line. Don't let them get to their route straight up. You're giving them too easy a shot to catch the ball and run with it. And it keeps coming up. Okay. After all that, in the end, Tyrone Crawford, Anthony Brown, Xavier Woods, Jalen Smith, Connor Williams, Joe Looney, Terrence Steele, Cam Irvin, pretty much the whole offensive line. There were times where that offensive line held its own, and there's times where they completely were out of position, out of place, missing blocks, everything. When people say Tony Pollard looked great, that's great because the offensive line gave him holes to run through. Those same holes weren't there for Zeke Elliott. Zeke Elliott had to push most of his own yardage. That offensive line didn't do him any favors. When Pollard got in, you saw clear as day, line creating space. Like, I don't know. Maybe they don't like Zeke now. I don't know. But they're not blocking the same way for both of these guys for some reason. But there's a lot of players that should not be here next season, especially on the defense. The offense will be fine next year, especially if you bring back Dak and your offensive line returns. This team on offense will be just fine. The defense is going to need a complete overhaul. The defensive line, depending on who you get, is pretty darn good, and you can improve upon that. The linebackers are going to need to be changed. Jalen Smith is no good. Sean Lee is injury prone, and Van Der Esch, we don't know if he was a flash in the pan or he can sustain his level of success. But when his partner like Jalen is on the side of him, botching plays, you can't get a good take of what Van Der Esch can do. The corners, Trayvon Diggs is the future. We don't know what Reggie Robinson is because they'll never activate him for some reason. Antonio Brown, like I said, is too handsy. He's getting caught holding damn near every game. Jordan Lewis, he's starting to lose technique. He's almost getting caught every game holding. The safeties are trash. Donovan Wilson might actually be something, but he's not really showing up on tape as much as you'd want him to. Xavier Woods is showing up on tape, always being out of position now, or making bad reads on plays, and then he's got his back to the receiver instead of tackling him. You running along the field with him like an idiot. So yeah, the defense is going to need a big overhaul. So in the end, the Cowboys showed heart. Mike McCarthy showed fire when the referees were making mistakes. He was on them. Uh, Kellen Moore got to stop being cute when it comes to the red zone. Just take some shots towards the damn end zone sooner or later. Because these 3 points is not going to win y'all games. Defense has showed up after you drop dead weight, but you're going to need some young talent that's not getting burned almost every other play and can play straight up. Stop. I mean, half of you guys don't even show up on stats because you're out of position 99% of the games. Special teams was a pleasant surprise. They did quite a bit. Trickeration. Rico Dowd, I think his name is, had a punt return that set us up in great field position. Again, we couldn't capitalize with the touchdown. We just got 3 points. So, in taking away, you got to give these Cowboy team a whole lot better grade than they've done most of the season. The defense showed up. The offense was a lot better. Gary Gilbert looks like he needs another shot at starting for this team, especially against Minnesota. Andy Dalton is just not it. They're wasting their money with that guy. DiNucci, you could develop him, and we already know what we got in Cooper Rush. Yeah, there's some things we can improve upon. This team is not as bad as it looks most of the time, but sometimes it is. With this loss, we're now 2-7, 2-6, and that puts us now with the games that have happened into, I think, third in the draft order. We are now the top 3 in draft picks. So come draft time, there's a lot of things they could do with it. We're trusting that Jerry Jones and company does not fuck this up. Do not fuck this up if we stay in this draft position. But even if we could pull off a couple wins this season, our draft picks shouldn't be too bad because it's not really going to help us with other teams faring a little bit better than us. So that's my whole look at that game. Later on, I'm going to make videos to try and break it down a little bit better. Offense, defense, like I do for the rest of the week. But today, I'm not as mad for that game. It was a game we could have won and should have won. But costly mistakes to refs to bad play calling ended up dooming us. And if we can clean up any of that, we can actually shock the world and beat somebody. As somebody else has already said on YouTube, the Eagles should be scared. I do believe the last team this season that we're going to face over 500 is the Baltimore Ravens. We have no other team on our schedule that is any better than we are. The Eagles, on the other hand, still have to play a lot of teams that are over 500 and leading their divisions. So there is a silver lining that the Dallas Cowboys still have a shot, clearly, at winning this division. This is why Stephen Jones and everybody saying, calm down, relax, we still got a shot at this. Because honestly, we do. And that's weird because we have a shot to actually still win this division, and we have a shot to still have a top draft pick. So that's how we do in Cowboys world, right? Again, if you made it this far into the video, thank you. So thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing, and commenting down below. Anything else crazy happening in the Cowboys world, you know we'll talk about it. Until then, y'all take care, stay safe, have a good Monday, get ready for the rest of this week. We're going into a bye week, so we're going to have a lot of time to assess what the heck we can do to turn this around, or change up a little things here and there and make this team a little better. So until then, talk to y'all later. VA Dallas Cowboy fan, out.